Sunspot is just about as busted as you can possibly get in MCoC, and after Act 8, I took him to Rank 2, and I believe he was like my 7th or so Rank 2. The thumbnail will tell you, I'll figure it out later, but it was about that much, 7th or 8th, I believe, and it took me a while to get some fights for him, because mostly he's a Battlegrounds focused champion, so the vast majority of fights you're going to see in the showcase are going to be Battlegrounds fights, but anyway, it did take me a while to make this, and he was next on my poll of showcases to make, so we're getting his out tonight, and then Mantis next, if not Dust before that. Mantis and Dust are next, and then Gore I want to do pretty soon as well, so that's just a little bit of a breakdown for my next upcoming showcases. But back to Sunspot, you just saw that 200k crit at that SP2, and that was pretty nice. And that was recorded first attempt. I didn't like fish for a crit or anything, I just kind of got it, which was cool. And next up I'm going to be fighting Captain Marvel, and this is just Winter Soldier, but without the class advantage, so it's a little bit different, and I figured it would be worth showing still. But I miss a parry there, but that's okay. And for these fights, I usually go for like 4 flare states, and then I can usually throw 2 SP2s if the first one doesn't kill. So we gain 2 flare states now, and we just need 2 more. We're going to do a bunch of heavy charging, because Sunspot then purifies incinerates and gains power from them, which is a really cool mechanic. Self-purify is a pretty interesting mechanic. As you know, I'm a big fan of Captain Britain, and she's all about self-purify, so we're going to keep using Sunspots, and we're going to get to the first SP2. Throw this SP2, we get 1 crit there, but none of the other hits crit, but we still get a 69k white attack at the end, which is cool. And then I have enough of my solar charges to get to another SP2. Just by doing this, go for the relic and then a double medium, and then we have another one. And even if we burnt out, the special attack would still do as much damage as if we had charges on every single hit. So 1 minute and 3 seconds is definitely not too bad, especially when this is coming from a short fight champion. Speaking of short fights, here are the Battlegrounds fights, and we're going to start against Serpent. And normally this would be a weird fight, but I'm going to show all of the X Magicka meta Sunspot fights first, before I get to the Victory Track and it was the Counter-Strike Bob and Weave meta. So 2 metas in this video, and we're going to start with the X Magicka one, where he was really, really good for Serpent, just because of the fact that he kills so fast, and you can control Serpent's power with the X Magicka stuff, so you can't control it perfectly, but still it does a pretty nice job. And we're going to be gaining some power here, going for an SP2. I figured 3 flare state would be enough, and just like that, you go for the SP2 here, and yeah. I would say that Sunspot is still pretty decent for Serpent, even without the X Magicka meta. And also, he's actually kind of gaining some power there. I'm not really sure what's up with that. I don't know what was going on with the node. I might be just misunderstanding how it works, but either way, he did gain some power there, so clearly, yeah, Sunspot would be good for a Serpent, even without the X Magicka meta, because you can just kill him like that, so that was pretty nice. Next up is going to be Bullseye. Sunspot is very good for Bullseye, just because usually you can kill Bullseye after him only throwing 1 SP1, and it's not like Emma Frost, where you're going to be finishing with like 95% health, but you're still going to be finishing very healthy, because if you can get the perfect block on the special attack, then you're only taking bleed damage, which is pretty nice. And see, we're at 91% here, and I can go for an SP2 and it's just going to kill him, so that's cool. We're going to go for a heavy attack here. I'm pretty sure I kind of mess up the rotation, but we're going to see what happens. I can just go for an SP2 here, and I go for the relic, and then SP2 just like that, and we get only 1 crit, but that's all we needed. So 42-second Bullseye fight with 90% health left is definitely pretty great. Alright, next up we're going to be fighting Kate Bishop. Again, X Magicka meta, so we're going to ramp up her prowess a bit so she can't evade instantly. And then I think I don't even go for a flare state in this fight, because I didn't think I needed it, because Kate has a relatively small health pool, and we do have X Magicka prowess, ramping our damage just a bit, so we're gonna build up to our 5 X Magicka prowess, And then we're going to go for an SP2. We're going to go down to 4 here, but that's okay. And then we go for this SP2. I didn't even bother to use my heavy attack most of that fight. We got really nice crit RNG, but we wouldn't have even needed it, so... 38 seconds. I would suggest you usually go for 2 Flare State in that fight, but for X Magicka I didn't really feel like it, so... We have Kingpin next, and Kingpin is pretty easy for Sunspot, especially because he's purifying stuff on his own, so Sunspot's just kind of gaining power on his own. We're going to gain some X Magic prowess there, and then we're going to go back in. We don't even need to charge our heavy attack too much because he's purifying stuff for us. We go for a heavy here. I'm going to anti-bait his SP2, and then we go for the SP2, and I'm just like, yeah, this is going to be lights out, so we got 3 crits, which is 351k crits, and we didn't even see the last hit. 31-second Kingpin, so that was definitely pretty nice. Next up is going to be Killmonger, and this is a matchup I would never do without X Magicka controlling the ability power rate, that's for sure. But, let's see. We're gonna get him to hold block at first, and trigger his reverb just like that, and I want to gain as many prowess as I can early, just so that I keep his ability power rate in control. And I believe I need 2 SP2s in this fight, even with 2 Flare State, and that is largely just because of how tanky Killmonger is, both with his armor up and his crit resist, especially the crit resist, because we almost have like no chance of landing a crit on the SP2 with it. And I do take some reverb here, which is very unfortunate, but that's okay. I'm trying to bait his SP1, but here I just decided to go for my SP2, which is fine. And then he's going to throw his SP2 in just a second. Instead, I'm actually going to trigger a lot of reverb, but that was really a big mistake. So now I'm just going to chill. I need him to throw his SP2, and he throws it, so now his reverb is gone, and we're going to go for my SP2 in just a second with the relic, and just like that, we're going to go for the hits, and then he's dead. So that's a Killmonger in 64 seconds, and again, I would not suggest that fight if this isn't X Magicka, which obviously X Magicka is not coming back in Battlegrounds, so I just wouldn't suggest that matchup in general, but it was a really cool fight for the meta, so. Alright, next up we have Weapon X, and I do mess up this fight, but it could have been incredibly clean if I just played better. He's going to go unstoppable and unblockable there, and then I'm just late on an intercept, and I get 5 bleeds on me. Like, I actually was going to be fine if I just wasn't late on that intercept, making me lose almost all my health. So, yeah, this fight does definitely work. You just have to not be late on your intercept like I was. And we go for my SP2 here. It does 1 crit, which is plenty of damage. Weapon X is down to 30%, and he does have the healing, of course, but it's not too big when he's not in Berserk. And we're going to go for my SP2 with a 1 heavy attack before that, or actually just, no, we go like this. So that could have been like 100% health if I didn't take an intercept there. So yeah, that fight definitely works. 54 seconds is pretty great. And then we are going to be fighting, who is next? Let's see. Oh, Nick Fury. Okay. I fought Nick Fury like 4 times, and 4 times recorded, and all of them were unclean fights. I couldn't get a single clean Nick Fury fight. I have no idea why. I was just playing bad, apparently, all 4 times. But this fight is like 100% health and 50 seconds if you know what you're doing. And the way you want to do this fight is you want to push Nick into a second life with your basic attacks, and then you're going to, once he enters that second life, you're going to have a bunch of incinerates from Despair. And apparently I didn't parry there. That's the big mistake in this fight. But anyway, actually I am going for an SP2. Normally I would actually push Nick to his second life with basic attacks, but I guess I'm going for an SP2 in this one. He does not feel like throwing it, but he finally does. I go for my SP2, and then we have him at very low health at this point. And he's gonna die pretty fast, so we do that, and then we're gonna go for a relic, and then we're gonna go for another SP2, and that's gonna do the trick. So that could be so much cleaner, so much faster, but that's okay, because it was still pretty decent. So next up, we are going to be fighting, what is this one? Okay, Destroyer. So we're actually in the victory track fights now. So Destroyer is an interesting defender. I feel like with Destroyer, he's one of those defenders that you want to kill as fast as possible, and that's kind of the way of countering him, because he isn't a problem until he gets his power gain, and if you can kill him before the power gain, he's like not a problem at all. So we're gonna let him throw an SP1 there, and then we're gonna go for my SP2. We do not get any crits, but that's okay. We're gonna build up to another SP2. He has a lot of destruction charges now. I also don't know what just happened there, but that's okay. Anyway, we need to throw my SP2, and we're going to do that with this relic chain right here, and that means that he can't throw his SP1, meaning he couldn't gain his power gain. So yeah, we killed him fast enough to where he was not an issue, and that's a 50-second takedown. So alright, now we have Photon. Sunspot's pretty decent for Photon. I do mess up in this fight, which is a very common occurrence apparently. But also, he does a pretty good job just because it's another defender that you just want to kill absolutely as fast as possible, and Sunspot is very good at killing absolutely as fast as possible. So we want to go for an SP1 here. I eat a heavy attack. Okay, I think that was the only mistake I made this fight, was eating that heavy attack. So we dex her SP1, and then we're going to go in for a special one of my own, and then we just want to raise to an SP2. Let's see. We do have to worry about our charges a bit in this fight, just because of the fact that we're not parrying to purify them too often. And it definitely does help that this is an unduped Photon. I would have to play a lot more careful if it wasn't, but I definitely could do a duped Photon for sure. So we're gonna go for my SP2 here, and we have plenty of damage to kill her. So there goes that Photon in about a minute, and could have been cleaner if I didn't eat that heavy hit, and if it was duped, I still think I could have done it. Okay, so next up is Absorbing Man, rank 5 Ascended Absorbing Man. In this fight, you want to keep him in Uru form most of the fight, just because in Magma form, he is going to both be immune to Incinerate and have absurd energy resistance, so your special attacks won't do any damage. We are going to throw the first SP1, and then we're going to go back in. He has a lot of crit resist and obviously physical resist in Uru form, so our basics aren't hitting nearly as hard as they normally would. But that's okay. We're going to get him to throw his SP2 here, and I'm going to go for the heavy counter to deactivate the form. And then I'm going to go for my SP2, 1 crit, and then no other crits. That's okay though, because I can get to another SP2 before I let him throw another special attack. Or we could just kill him with basic attacks. So, yeah, really good fight there. Rank 5 Ascended Absorbing Man in 48 seconds. Definitely pretty good. Next up, we're going to be fighting Chielth. And Chielth is a very annoying defender if you do not have a bleed immune, just because of the fact that she bleeds through your blocks, so you really just want to not block the whole fight. I did block there, so I kind of was hypocritical, but that's okay. I'm going to go for an SP1 maybe, I'm not really sure. I recorded this fight a very long time ago. Looks like I'm just going to go straight for an SP2. We're going to see how much damage it does. I definitely think in hindsight going for one SP1 first would have been better, but that's okay. We bait her SP1, and then it slides out for Chielth with the combo after that, so very nice fight there. And I think that was the last Battlegrounds fight, actually. So full health, 41-second Chielth, pretty great. So the last part of this video is just going to be an Act 8 path that I found Sunspot very neato for. Not really showcasing anything specifically of him, but also the numbers were absolutely astronomical, so I figured they'd be fun to see. This is a fight with Pierce, and obviously Sunspot does not care about Pierce most of the time, because you can just perfect block if you parry the opponent, and then once you parry the opponent, you will perfect block the rest of their combo, and this counts for special attacks as well, so as long as you have Incinerate active, you are just going to be completely destroying this node with the Pierce, because it simply won't matter. And I'm going to go block this guy's SP1, which is going to give me a bunch of Furies. I have 7 Furies, because you gain Furies when you block special attacks in this node, and we're going to see 80,000 white numbers 3 times without even seeing the final hit, whether it would have critted or not. So This is going to be a Spider-Man 2099, largely the same thing, except there's less hits on the special attacks, so it's a little bit harder. That's okay. You should stay for the last fight, though, because that one was completely ridiculous. So, against Spider-Man 2099 here, he has the resistance up, so he's actually incredibly tanky in this fight, which is annoying, but that's okay. I gained my 3 Furies there. 19k medium crit's pretty cool. I don't even know how he hit me with that heavy attack. He has so much reach on that, apparently. Anyway, I'm gonna block this SP1. I got only 1 hit, but that's okay. We go for my SP2. I get 1 crit, but I don't get any others, and because of his resistance up being so high, he did not take a lot of damage at all. But that's okay, because we're gonna kill him in just a minute, and then we're gonna see a really, really fun fight at the end. SP1 doesn't do the trick, but my next combo does. So we do that, and then he's dead. So, alright, last fight of the video against this Nick Fury, and this fight is just completely insane. You're gonna love seeing this one. We go for, let's see, 2 flare states, maybe 3, I don't entirely remember. I think it's 3, actually. We want to block his SP1. This is gonna give me the Furies. And then I go for the counter. That's a 30k medium crit. And we are going to throw another SP1? No, we're not. Okay, we're going to go for the SP1 block. I dex out of it. I have 12 Furies. And watch this SP2. That is a 500,000 damage special 2 crit. Which is just so much fun on this node. So yeah, I definitely had a really good time playing him on this path. And yeah, that is going to be the video, actually. So, we go for that SP2, and then he is dead. So, thank you guys so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed seeing the pure Sunspot chaos. He is an incredibly good champion, and definitely one I'm happy to have on my roster. So, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.